Let's take a look at your MT10 LT5 seminar. Do the first 5 questions, finding the greatest common factor. We're going to go over those in class. What we're going to do today is we're going to start by unmultiplying or factoring. When we factor, we find things that go into our terms. And we're going to kind of use that same process, at least to start with. So what I'll do is I'll use my box method, and I will say, hey, what goes into both 12a squared and 16a? Well, I definitely see a 4 goes into both of them. And if I have, just like we did greatest common factor, I pick the smaller exponents, but they got to be the same. So now, 4a times what gives me 12a squared? Well, that would be 3a, won't it? And plus 4. Now, does anything go into 3a and 4? No, it doesn't. I mean, I could say 1, but 1 goes in everything. So what we're going to do is we're going to write this as what's on the outside is 4a. What's on the inside is 3a plus 4. It's easier if you pick the biggest thing. But if you don't, you would just keep on multiplying or dividing until you got those out, then write down what's on the outside. Now, if I have 3 terms, on example 2, I do the same thing. Let's start with our numbers, 20, 45, and 35. Well, there's a 5 that goes into all of them, isn't there? Now I look at my x squared. There's an x squared that goes into everything. But notice there's no y on the last term, so I can't factor a y out. So now I'll divide them out to make sure I pick the biggest one and actually get my answer. 20 divided by 5 is 4. We took out the x squared, so I got y squared left over. Minus 9, I took out the x squared, so I got y left over. And then minus 7, and I took out the x squared. Nothing goes into 4, 9, or 7. So now I write my answer. 5x squared on the outside. And then 4y squared minus 9y minus 7 goes inside your parentheses. If I multiply those together, I will get my original problem. So don't multiply them together because you're back to the beginning, but you can check to see if you did it right. Now, we can also factor by grouping. That's the second thing we're going to use today. And here's what happens. You're going to factor by grouping if you have 4 or more terms. 2 terms, 3 terms, we're going to do exactly what we did in example 1 and example 2. They have to have a common factor. You might have to rearrange them so they have a common factors. And then I want to get them to be identical or additive inverses of each other. And we'll go through a couple of those in the next part, in the next video.